Is an exciting day because we're getting our first chance to ride the new 2025 Triumph TF450-RC. Triumph has gone all in on the motocross market after spending over 120 years in the street bike and off-road world. Now they are officially into the dirt bike market. First, they introduced their 250, and that was successful in the MXGP and AMA Supercross and Outdoors. And now they're introducing their 450 for the 2025 season. Yes, it's an RC edition, so it's working with Ricky Carmichael to develop this bike, but also running a couple Ricky Carmichael parts like the ODI bars, like the Dunlop tires. Today, we're gonna shake this thing down at Triumph America's new training facility just outside of Atlanta, Georgia. They got 165 acres, 2 outdoor tracks, 2 supercross tracks. This is where the factory team is based out of for the US, and today it's gonna be a little bit wet. Even though the TF450 is coming out 1 year later than the 250, both bikes were developed in tandem when they were working on the chassis. So this bike has the exact same chassis as the TF250-X. Yes, it has an aluminum frame. It looks like the KTM frame. It's got the spine frame, but it's aluminum frame. It's got the same swing arm, same linkage ratio as the TF250-X, also has the same KYB suspension. Now the KYB suspension has spring forks on the front and updated spring rates and damping to work with the more powerful and slightly heavier 450. Of course, it also carries over a lot of the same premium components that came on the 250. It's got the hydraulic Brembo clutch, it's got Brembo brakes, Galfer brake rotors, and also what we really appreciate about it is the Belleville washer spring inside of the clutch. Now the 450, that's where some of the differences come into play. The 250 had an aluminum clutch basket, while the 450 has a steel clutch basket with the primary gear made into the basket to up durability and make this thing strong on the track. A couple things that Triumph learned about from the 250 were the map switch and also the start-stop switch. So these have been made more durable for 2025 to resist dirt and water. Also, Wi-Fi tuning. You can plug your phone in and actually connect it to your bike to adjust maps, and you can do that for free on the 450. However, you still have to pay extra to get Wi-Fi tuning on your 250. So I'm super excited to shake it down here today. It's gonna be a little bit muddy in Georgia here, but we're gonna make the most of it and tell you all we know and all we learn about this bike after our first day of riding it. All right, first impressions, this thing is super fun. I love the 250. I love how the 250 handles, love how light it is. It's the lightest bike in the 250 class. 450, first impressions, feels like just a faster 250, but the big complaint though so far, not as fast as I expected it to be. Kind of like the KX450, very mellow on the bottom end and really mellow all the way through the rev range. Also like a KTM 350, kind of just almost 350 power. So trying to figure that out. We'll mess with some mapping here and get back to you. So right away, the first question I had about the TF450-RC was how was the mapping? We've spent a lot of time on the TF250-X back home. All of our test riders were super impressed with that bike. The chassis feels comfortable, the engine is pretty comfortable as well, but we've had two major complaints with the 250, and it's come with the mapping and also the shifting. The shifting has been pretty notchy on the TF250-X. We did help it by putting a Pro Circuit shift lever on there. The leverage ratio, just a little stronger lever, I think has helped that, but the mapping was the big complaint on the TF250X, bogging a little bit, running pretty fat and blubbery. Thankfully, Triumph does have a new update for that map that's coming out in the next couple weeks, and you'll be able to take your 250 to the dealership. They'll update the maps for free, and they'll also give you a new clutch, give you some new internals for the clutch to get some more oil flow in there, and do some other minor upgrades, all for free. So I'm really impressed with Triumph and their dedication to helping the Triumph owners that already own a TF250X. Now, when it comes to this 450, mapping, no issues. Shifting felt fine to me today, but we'll have to spend more time on it when we get it back home. And the chassis, man, that thing was nice. We put all of the 250s on the scale, and the Triumph was actually the lightest bike in the 250 class at 221 pounds. So very impressive how light Triumph is able to be. Then we tried the 450 today, very light as well. It felt super light taking it on and off the stand, and also pretty light and flickable on the track as well. The chassis is super comfortable. I'm really impressed with the 250 and the 450 model. Same frame for both bikes, same swing arm, same linkage. There are stiffer triple clamps on this one though. They did make the triple clamp stiffer. They also went stiffer on compression and also spring rates in the forks and the shocks. So the KYB suspension, the KYB spring forks, obviously set up for the 450. I was really impressed with it today. We had some good ruts here in Georgia. We were able to lean in and out of a few different corners, and this thing was nimble, easy to maneuver around the track. Yes, it did get muddy today, so once it packed up with mud, it was a little bit harder to turn and got a little bit heavier, but overall, I'm very impressed with how comfortable the chassis is. If you've ridden the Triumph 250, this basically feels exactly like that, only faster. And how much faster? Well, earlier in my first impressions, I said that this thing felt kind of like a KTM 350 or a Kawasaki KX450. Very mellow, smooth engine character. Now, of course, you can tell by the video, we do have some deep conditions here. Also, this bike is extremely quiet. Now, Triumph is kind of ahead of the curve on the sound requirements for the US, but for 2025, the FIM MXGP, I believe they're going to 109 decibels. So quite a bit quieter than what we have currently here in the US. This thing is extremely quiet, and because it's so quiet, it actually makes it feel slower on the track. Yamaha 450, extremely fast, but also extremely loud. The loud engine makes you feel like you're going faster. So this thing, extremely quiet. The track conditions are deep. Once the track broke in a little bit, I started to realize that the power is still there. You just have to ride it a little bit harder, and you have to be a little more aggressive in the RPMs to get it up into the meat of the power. But once you get this thing going, it's not a slouch. So I think I kind of want to retract my 350 statement. It's not quite a 350, and I think it might even be a step ahead of the KX450. So I'm pretty impressed, not impressed with the Triumph engine, but I'm not as negative as I was at the start of the day. I learned how to make it work on the tracks we had today, and got more and more comfortable with it. The engine is very tractable though. Besides being that mellow character that I mentioned, it's super tractable, great traction on the rear end. It does have a Dunlop 110 rear tire, so a little bit skinnier than the standard 120 that comes on most brands, but I had no problems with it dipping in and out of corners today, finding traction on the track. I did get to mess with the maps, really cool. Triumph offers a free Wi-Fi downloadable map tool, so you can plug your phone into your bike and adjust maps through that. We did try the Ricky Carmichael map. I wasn't a fan of it. It actually made the low end even harder. This is a second gear bike in corners. You can't pull third gear with this current engine and with the current track conditions we had today. So with the RC map, it actually made it even harder to pull second out of the corner. So I wasn't a huge fan of that. We did put the sand wet map in. That was supposed to be the most aggressive bottom end. It wasn't too much better. It was hard for me to figure out a difference between stock and between that one. But of course, today is only our first day of testing. Engine, very smooth. It does have a little bit of a whistle to it, kind of like a turbo whistle when you're just listening to it on the stand, but quiet on the track and pretty comfortable. I should also mention that Triumph did fix that issue with the notchy shifting on the 250 by adding larger detents into the gears on their 450 model. Also, when you're connecting the phone to the bike and you're adjusting maps, you can't customize both maps. Map 1, light off, is always going to be stock. Map 2, light on, that's the one you're able to customize. Well, sometimes it's kind of tough. If you want to compare two different maps back to back, you won't be able to do that. You'll have to upload it in. But the Wi-Fi connectivity unit is pretty impressive. It looks a lot like Yamaha, and it's impressive how you can notice also faulty codes on there, hours of how many hours you have on the bike. So pretty impressive that their app is already so solid the first year. Another thing to note, the parts catalog. So Triumph website is pretty impressive. You can go on there, type in which part you need, and then it'll find the closest dealership to you that has that part in stock. So Triumph currently has 250 dealers across the world, and they're looking to add up to 350 dealers by the end of June next year. The 250, one of the main reasons I didn't recommend my friends to buy a TF250X is because there weren't too many aftermarket parts available. Nobody really knew anything about the 250 this past year. Now with the 450 on the market and with both bikes sharing so many of the same parts, I think it's going to be a lot better for Triumph riders to have more people to talk to, more aftermarket upgrades to add onto their motorcycles, and I'm excited to hopefully race this thing in the coming months. Looks like February, March, this is when we'll be getting them in California, and hopefully even sooner for MXA, so we can continue testing this thing. Check out that guy, pretty sick whip. Triumph TF250X is on the cover of the November issue of Motocross Action magazine. This is out right now, and December issue is coming out pretty soon. If you're not subscribed to Motocross Action magazine, be sure to do so. We get in-depth details about the TF250X in here. We're also working on our 250 shootout, where we have the Triumph TF250X in there, so make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. To get up to date on our latest videos, click the bell button to get notified when we release that 250 shootout video, and check out Motocross Action magazine. So good times today riding the 450-RC model. The RC edition does come with the gripper seat cover. It does come with Ricky Carmichael's ODI bars. I do like that this comes with the ODI lock-on grips. Lots of premium features on the TF450-RC. Excited to get this thing home and put more time on it, and had some fun riding in the mud today. So thank you guys for watching this video. We'll see you in the next one. Got the matching boots to the gear, the goggles.
I don't really think it tilted out.
No, I don't. I mean, normally Trevor has to tilt the photo to get me to look like it's a bigger whip, but you can see my eyes. That's how you know it's a Trevor photo, because it's a lot clearer than when I take photos.